RPM is an international non-asset-based logistics and supply chain company serving the entire spectrum of finished vehicle logistics and specialized freight in North America, Europe, Mexico, and Canada. Live from Canada's Used Car Week, please help me welcome Andrew Kmita, Dylan Morris, and Carolyn Ideh. Say hello in the live chat, make new friends, and learn from the best on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business, automotive ecosystem, where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. Let's get started with top industry news and headlines that include CDK Global cyberattack timeline, Lease returns drought coming soon, and an auto transport hacking story. At the quarter hour, we've got Andrew Kmita. He's the director of remarketing at RPM. And in his panel at the half hour, Dylan Morris and Carolyn Ideh are going to join us. Please do leave a like, click share, copy. Hello, YouTube. Hello, LinkedIn. Please do leave a like. Tell your friends. Let them know that we're live with Canada's Used Car Week with RPM. And we're excited that you're here for show 352 in a row. Now, we started early today. But we did that to make sure we accommodate the schedule happening at the trade conference. Canada's Used Car Week is going to be kicking off their, or they'll be in the middle of their reception right now, something like that. They're already networking. Andrew already did his session today. He's going to tell us more about that. You know RPM, and actually, maybe you don't know RPM very well, and you're going to get a chance to meet and learn more about RPM. I know that I read the RPM blog. I think it's better than the average blog. It seems pretty insightful. That's what we're about on this show here today. Boosting your bottom line through transportation. That was Andrew's session just earlier today. Also in the panel, Dylan Morris, strategic planning, and Carolyn Ideh, VP of Vehicle Operations. We're going to get to meet them and know your ecosystem. So we're going to get to learn more about RPM and Canada's Used Car Week. If you missed this show a week ago, old habits die hard. It was a continuation of the long-standing tradition now on ATI of getting to know the repo industry and understanding, man, we have a lot in common. We really do. There's a lot of shorts dropping. Please do tune in to the latest short. Let me know if you have a question. Thank you, UVI. UVI just dropped a short today using ATI content. That is encouraged. You want to do that. And if you need help increasing leads, get the ATI Video Shorts Factory. Let me know how I can help, because if your most recently shared video is over 7 days old, it's old. Now, let's get into some news. Here we go. This is the news. Oh, man. All right, we're going to start off. Let's do a bit of a recap before we do the recap. Now, over a week ago, 2 luxury cars worth over $500K stolen after a thief hacked into a luxury car carrier. Hollywood, Florida searches on for a thief who stole 2 luxury cars worth a total of a cool $500,000 after hacking into a luxury car carrier. How did he do that? A 2024 Mercedes-Benz GL 600 Maybach worth around $200,000 was one of the cars. The heist began when Dealer's Choice Auto Transport Service was scheduled to deliver the car to a customer in Hollywood, Florida on a Sunday. But all of a sudden, a delivery location changed to Miami. The criminal actually hacked into the driver's portal, knew what vehicles were being transported, and knew what was going on. The thief happened to reach out to the driver, acting as if they were the receiving party, gave all the information. The information was correct, knew what to say, told him where the car is supposed to go. Driver doesn't know the difference, delivers it, and hack. And what is interesting, we're going to just take a look at this for a second. We've been talking about these transportation hacks And how do they work exactly, right? We never find out. I want to say hats off, thank you for, let's see, this is Dealer's Choice Auto Transport Service for sharing this information and letting us know how exactly it went down. So look for that. And a sudden change in delivery location, now we know is a red flag. It was over a week ago. Findlay Automotive was targeted in a cyber attack. It didn't make a lot of news. It almost made my headlines, but they said, well, they were open, able to conduct sales and service. It was restricted, but it was okay. Hampered some of sales and service. The company confirmed the attack in a June 10th statement posted on Facebook. They operate in Nevada, Utah, Arizona, Washington, Idaho. Locations were open, although ability to conduct sales and service is restricted. If you have a car in service, stop by, call, and they can help you. Probably not a real big deal. Unconfirmed reports on social media suggest the hackers who struck Findlay could be the same group that targeted MGM Resorts in Vegas. That caught my eye. And demanded payment from MGM, though the group was not named. It's two well-known hackers. And that cyber attack impacted MGM's operations. Looked like it took up to 10 days before things were back to normal. Okay, so kind of overlooked in the news. Then we hear last week, it was Wednesday the 19th, when we heard CDK Global looking at, and again, it's rearview mirror news. Most core dealership management system functionality has been restored. Oh wow, that's 2 in 2 weeks, and that's weird. The DMS giant said it shut down most of its systems to contain problems. It worked to address the issue. Of course, you want it to be in the rearview mirror. Erring on the side of caution, they proactively shut down all the systems, executed extensive testing, consulted with external third-party experts. The work really was done on the DMS, and digital retailing solutions have been restored. And the priority was security for the customers. And in an afternoon update, the work done so far, we determined the DMS, digital retail, CDK phones not affected, restored, pretty much good to go. And then Thursday of last week, CDK Global said the shutdown of its DMS will last likely for several days after a second attack. A day after mostly resolving issues after a cyber attack, CDK Global shut down its DMS again in the US and Canada. Now, I had heard that the attack started Tuesday night, I believe it was the 18th. As far as we know, the 19th was day 1. Now we're into day 2 on the 20th. If you're not aware, we experienced an additional cyber incident late the evening of the 19th. We continue to act out caution, protect our customers, take down the systems. Do not attempt to access the DMS till we can confirm the system is secure. Digital retail CDK phones continue to be functional, because CDK Global has many services. This time, we do not estimate time frame for resolution. It's going to be days. That's bad news. CDK shutdown threatens to disrupt thousands of new vehicle transactions taking place each day across North America auto retail, in the heart of summer sales promotions and the industry's intense push to avoid inventory buildup on dealer lots. Which is interesting too, because we're talking about new days supply, which didn't seem to be an issue. Moreover, the cyber attack has raised alarms about security in the DMS business after other cyber attacks have disrupted operations at casinos, financial institutions, and hospitals. This is now reaching critical national news level. We're also hearing, again, this is still Thursday, it's 15,000 dealerships. And as a problem, CDK touts its cybersecurity capabilities on its website, highlighting a 3-tiered strategy to prevent, protect, and respond to cyber attacks, which leaves us all wondering, if you tout cybersecurity, ... Some dealership employees turn to alternative methods to continue operations during the outage, spreadsheets, sticky notes to sell parts and perform repairs. The incident underscores the vulnerability of critical systems, widespread impact a cyber attack can have on business operations. Man. And still, on Thursday, automakers already reaching out. That's how big of an issue they know it's going to be. They're reaching out to their Kia OEMs, reaching out to its Kia dealers, warning them, letting them know, if you use CDK, this can disrupt your business. there are many guidelines here. Wait till we come back online. Implement manual processes to conduct business, to satisfy customers. And now we're into day 3. This is Friday, or end of the day Thursday. That we're now it's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Here's David Spizak saying he's got empathy for the 15,000 dealers, especially considering the lack of transparency communication that seems to exist from CDK. Right now, oh man, the speculation starts to ping pong. But according to dealers, they have reached out. They've heard many different ways this is affecting their operations because they're concerned about their impact on their pay, customer data breaches, loss of business, third-party solutions integrated, no communication on the CDK website. FTC safeguard rules required report data breaches to the FTC and no clear communication at this point, allegedly. Now it's getting legal. Communication notices about the incident are contractually bound to keep things confidential, even though there's all these social media posts. So bad. And still on, this is Thursday, Friday, scammers are targeting dealers pretending to be CDK. CDK Global says scammers are targeting some dealerships, customers, affecting the cyber attack that down their system. Let's see. They have attracted scammers in the U.S. and Canada contacting dealerships pretending to be representatives of the company, helping to restore service. These scammers are asking dealership employees for their credentials. Vishing or voice phishing is when a scammer uses a fraudulent call to trick the victim into revealing sensitive information. And this is supposedly one of those hacker communications. This looks, on its face, looks pretty legit using the man. Oh my goodness. So now by the weekend, can we even buy a car? This is now national frenzy. What to know about the massive auto dealer outage. CDK Global, known around the world of dealerships, new dealers, software used at 15,000 dealerships. Its products handle everything from records to scheduling. Now thousands of dealerships across the U.S. and Canada. Entering a third day at near deadlock after 2 days of shutdown of the system. Can I still buy a car? Customers who delayed in closing at one dealership using CDK can go find a nearby dealer that doesn't use CDK. My team is still handwriting buyers' orders, says Ben Benstock. And we find out, okay, so the 21st is, now we're into the weekend. CDK Global hackers demand tens of millions in ransom to end the dealership outage. And this story says CDK is planning to make the payment. Oh my gosh. The hacking group believed to be in Eastern Europe. A group that claims to have hacked the software provider. Thousands of dealers wants millions of dollars in ransom. CDK is planning to make the payment. Didn't respond to comments. How do they know they want to make the payment? They won't respond to comments. CDK's core product, a suite of tools referred to the dealership system DMS. All right, hampered sales, interrupted repairs, and delayed deliveries across an industry that topped $1 trillion in U.S. sales last year. The disruptions are also hitting amid an end-of-quarter sales push. Did these hackers know the cycle of auto sales is mass chaos? It's a disaster. Let's see, more recap. Now we're getting into, oh my gosh, a demand in the tens of millions of dollars comes after hackers sought $50 million from a lab services company at the center of an ongoing ransomware attack. It's just nasty. And here we go. Blacksuit, cybercrime gang blamed in CDK Global hack. They appear to be a group of Russian and Eastern European hackers with a history of working with a group known as Royal Ransomware. Look at what we've learned in a week. Hacking group Blacksuit. Blacksuit functions as a ransomware as a service gang, RAAS, in which members lease their technical tools to affiliates and demand a kind of extortion payments. Blacksuit's malicious software shares code with Royal Ransomware tools. Royal Ransomware targeted at least 350 victims, demanded more than $275 million in ransom fees in 2022-2023. Man, I guess that's how you fund a terrorist organization. There you go. Blacksuit specializes in hacking Linux and Windows. The desktop wallpaper of a breached computer directs you to a ransom note. You got to go on the dark web, contact a group. Wow. And see, this I guess is a legit CDK update. And they're saying that we feel it's important to share. We do not believe that we'll be able to get all dealers live prior to June 30th. So make alternate plans for your month-end financial close process. Wow. And I checked the CDK Global website today, and there is no mention at all on the homepage that I saw, which I suppose that's up for debate. I don't know what you do. Again, here's another CDK. They're communicating with their dealers and talking about digital retail CDK phones, Payroll Plus, Service View. Man. Yeesh. Okay. All right, that was the CDK update. Just a few other news articles, then we will go to the interview. Welcome to the drought. Off-lease vehicle pool is about to dry up. Automotive retailers about to feel the effects as the low inventory, no incentive, profitable heydays of 2021 end with a dramatic cut in lease turn-ins. Starting next month and for the most of the next 2 years, the number of lease turn-ins, which fuel new vehicle sales, provide valuable feedstock for profit-rich certified pre-owned programs, and lure back loyal customers, will decline rapidly. The long-term effects will be felt. A credit reporting agency tracks expected lease turn-ins based on standard 36-month leases. Nearly 2+ million lease vehicles were expected to be returned in the first half of this year. And at the end of this month, the quarterly numbers are expected to begin falling precipitously and not stop till the first quarter of 2026. We're going to go from 1 million lease turn-ins a quarter down to 600,000, then 500,000. In 2025, we're going to feel the biggest impact. Oh, great. CarMax to report Q1 earnings as competitors gain steam. Used supply affordability remains concerns. Tighter supply of used vehicles in their fiscal report. So that's being talked about. We got some floor planning updates from Ford, which is interesting. We may be talking more about that next Tuesday night with Brian Finkelmeyer. We might talk about powertrains with Brian Finkelmeyer too. I'm going to save that. But automakers are pursuing diverse powertrain strategies, prioritizing high-volume combustion models. Oh no, gas. Others are leaning into lower volume EVs, portfolio approach combustion, hybrid EV, throw in a little bit of hydrogen. Oh man. It's the automotive ecosystem. It's Tuesday nights at 7. I mean, I don't know how you cover it all. But we do have Brian Finkelmeyer. It's going to join us next Tuesday night from Cox Automotive, and Patrick Janes from Cox Automotive. We're going to talk about the Party Crashers. Brian's got a new show, too. He's going to talk about that. And then this Thursday, if you're delivering to a dealership what a new car hauler needs to know, join us at noon this Thursday on Industry Logistics. Don't forget to leverage ATI Auto Business in your business. I don't ship cars. I'm moving information. And you know how it works on ATI. And if you want to contact us, let me know. You can go to ATIAutobusiness.com, get the podcast, know your ecosystem. It is full automotive every Tuesday, every week. All right, let's do this. Do me a favor, stick around. Right after this, we're going to be joined live with Andrew Kmita, Director of Remarketing at RPM, live from Canada's Used Car Week. Stick around. We'll be right back.
The evolution of transportation. In the beginning of car shipping, there were stone tablets and woolly mammoths, very primitive vehicle delivery. Then, horse-powered haulers with mile-long paper BOLs causing enormous time hassle and massive stacks of paperwork for dealers, shippers, and carriers. What were we thinking? But now, with modern technology and cell phone mobile apps, simply click a button, order quick, reliable auto transport to pick up and deliver your cars safely and on time. It's instant car shipping at the best market rate. Start saving money today and get signed up. Visit oneauctionview.com.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verifications of loads where nobody ever answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021, or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
You need help shipping a car or keeping a carrier loaded? Murphy Auto Transport Services is a fully licensed broker and offers professional dispatch services. Visit murphyautotransportservices.com. All right, here we go. Please do help me wish a warm welcome to the Director of Remarketing at RPM, Andrew Kmita. Can you see me and hear me okay?
I sure can, Joe. Thanks so much for having me on.
Great. All right, let's do this. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for taking the time. Before we talk more, just tell us who you are, a little bit more about you, and then we'll start talking.
Sure. Well, geez, where do I start? So I was born in 1998. Just kidding. Man, I think I got the birth year wrong. 1988. I'm dating myself here. Just kidding. Yeah. So I am the director of remarketing sales here at RPM. So I've had a fairly lengthy career in logistics. Always in the automotive space. Started with an asset-based carrier, had gone ahead and kind of migrated over here to the non-asset brokerage side. So really work with a lot of specialty clients, financial institutions, lenders, captive OEMs, fleet management companies, those that are moving vehicles in fleet, out of fleet, in service. It's really a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, kind of who I am, what I do. I've got a pretty lengthy background in finance, business development, management. But it's a lot of fun kind of taking that skill set to RPM and really helping us grow a really robust customer and carrier network.
So, all right, well, thank you for joining. And now I know you are, all right, you're in the cocktail reception area at Canada's Used Car Week right now.
I'm not going to say yes, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. And I'm jealous, because I love that stuff, and I have been to many cocktail receptions at trade shows. So before we move in, what's happening? Because there are people in the live chat. Thanks for saying hello. What's happening? What's the significance of a cocktail receptions? It's not just a party. This is an awesome networking opportunity. Why? What's going on?
Well, that's really it, Jay. I mean, cocktail receptions, it's all about networking. And that's the thing. These events, these conferences, they may start at 9 in the morning and then they go until 5 in the afternoon. But frankly, the real work's done from 5 until 9. When everyone has the chance to kind of unwind a little bit, get to know each other on the personal level, kind of almost undress the company in a way to really kind of find out what they're all about. And that's how you really find out where opportunity lies. And that's where people can become a little more vulnerable, open up to you a little bit and really tell you about their needs or maybe where there could be an opportunity, perhaps even with somebody they know. So it's really just about networking and then shaking hands, parting as friends, and getting together at the next one.
I couldn't agree more. And what is cool is that this is where, if we could widen the tent to include everybody, I got to scoot back to widen the tent. You imagine if we could get, the automotive ecosystem in one place. I have met carriers at Used Car Week cocktail receptions. Now, again, I know I'm going to the live chat. I know that sounds wild, but it's an amazing opportunity to shake hands with a company that you've been moving loads for years, but you've never actually got to meet. And I think what's nice, too, is that you can talk a little bit of hey, I'm having this challenge, which is probably a nice way of saying it. But it gives the opportunity to actually try to find out what's going on. It's a wonderful thing. And that's why we're doing this, to get to know more about each other. Andrew, you and I don't know each other that well, right?
But we're best friends, Jay.
We're best friends. We go on road trips. So that's part, and to me, that's part of the power of content. You've got a podcast. Why don't you talk about, you've got a podcast, right?
Yeah, we do. And, it's actually really exciting because the thing is, if you look in the remarketing space, obviously, Cherokee Media Group, they have the Automotive Remarketing Podcast. And honestly, that's a great show. But there's also a lot of supplemental material that we have tried to really expand upon and try to incorporate, because our unique view of the automotive ecosystem and us kind of being, in a lot of cases, the backbone between the sale of a vehicle and not the sale of a vehicle, we really run into some unique challenges. And it's not just the challenges, but it's also a lot of times the successes that we see. And the thing is that in the position we're in, with the size that we are and the influence we have, the podcast is designed to start to share current events, how those relate to the industry that we're in, and how we can start sharing best practices that everyone can benefit from. The reality is we want to help our customers ask better questions, hold us more accountable, and help educate everyone that tunes in so that they know how to go ahead and kind of level up their business when it comes to their transportation.
So speaking of, you had a session today. What was the name of your session again? Boosting
your bottom line through transportation.
Tell me more about, put yourself back in that room. That was just a few hours ago, right?
Yeah, it was back, just a few hours ago.
Just a few hours ago. So there you are, a few hours ago in the room, you're presenting. Tell me more about it. What you said, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And I will tell you, my expectations coming in were not as high as I thought they would be. My thought was, who wants to come in here and listen to someone talk about transportation? But when you're in a room that was bigger than I thought it would be, and you're standing room only, apparently there's a lot of people that are curious about transportation and really how it can affect their bottom line revenue. And the thing is, what we talked about and what we discussed was the fact that transportation is so often kind of an afterthought of the whole equation, right? It's more, that's the guy, I got a guy who's got a truck, he handles it for me, I don't know much about it, so I just let him do it. But how do you educate yourself? How do you know what questions to ask? How do you know what's acceptable and what's unacceptable? And it was great because afterwards, I had to stay for another 20 minutes with a line of people asking me questions, which I really appreciated. But it was carriers in there saying, hey, how do we go ahead and become part of your network? And that right there is that network fit that I think everyone's looking for, of saying, you know what, let's take this carrier, find out what you do really, really well. What equipment do you have? What lanes do you run? What are you successful with? And then how do I find a customer that has that exact need? And how do I put the two together to create a really, really successful relationship across the board? Because the reality is, taking care of your customers on the front end, taking care of your carriers on the back end, that's what comes together in reducing costs, reducing liability, reducing claims, getting things transported more quickly, reducing depreciation. It's really just about how to build a total solution. So that's what we spoke about quite a bit. And it was, I'll be honest, the reception was a lot warmer than I thought it would be. So I was very excited to see that.
That's awesome. And I know also it is, you can prep and you can prep. You had a slide deck, right?
Sure did.
How many slides do you think you had? 10 to 20, 15?
Yeah, it was maybe 10.
Short, yeah. But still,
it's not about what's on the board. It's about what you say. You know how it is.
Well, and yet the slides, that's right. It is. And in fact, you could do all this work, and then when you get up there, you're like, I don't need the slides or whatever. Exactly. But it's interesting, and that's really great. It's great to feel like you got a win there, and that carriers were talking to you after. I see that as a positive. It's very positive, right? Now, were these larger carriers? Were these Canadian-based carriers?
Yeah, being that we are up here in Toronto, most of the clientele is either from the Greater Toronto area, British Columbia, other large suburbs and large provinces here. But yeah, some of the larger Canadian carriers, pretty sizable investments, really large fleets, doing a lot of really good work, but just kind of looking to see how they can better utilize their assets and kind of find that new stream of revenue for their business.
On my Thursday show, I'm really big into load boards. I used to be a dispatcher, and I have heard many times that there isn't really a Canadian load board. Did anybody mention that?
I haven't really spoken to anyone about that, but I'm going to find out while I'm here.
Yeah, the load boards are always in demand. Right? Where do I find loads? How do I stay loaded? And in fact, what that's a signifier of is, hey, I need more relationships with companies that can keep me loaded. That's what they're really saying.
That's what I was just going to comment on if you didn't say it first. It's really, relying on a load board for freight is really almost kind of the cry for help, as I'll say. And again, not in a bad way. What that means is that you are looking for a better solution. And that's where relationships with, people like us. And again, it doesn't have to be RPM. It could be any of the really, really successful, really good non-asset-based or asset-based carriers out there. The thing is, when you look at and again, we're not that different than most other large carriers in the fact, or large transport providers, I should say, in the fact that we invest a lot in technology and we have our own marketplace, right? We have our own internal load board that a lot of our carriers will rely on, and we push Canadian freight on that all the time. So for someone up here who's interested in kind of assimilating into a network like ours, it's really easy for them to go ahead and walk into the door in day one, likely be able to have their truck loaded with us.
So, all right, that's right. So we do have a lot to talk about. Do me a favor. If you're just joining now, we still have a panel discussion. We're going to bring in Dylan Morris and Carolyn Ideh with RPM. We're talking with Andrew Kmita. Do me a favor, stick around. Right after this, we're going to bring them in. You don't want to miss it.
AuctionVCommerce is the universal support solution to help brick-and-mortar auctions respond to the needs of digital buyers and sellers with greater efficiency, accountability, and more access. AuctionVCommerce is a bridge between the dealers of the past and the auction of the future.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our Price Watch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Don't lose any more sleep worrying about missing leads. Get Transport Auto Quoter to quote the right price the first time, every time. Run your business with TAQ. Visit transportautoquoter.com. All right, you stuck around. You did your part. Do me a favor. Help me wish a warm welcome to Dylan Morris, Director of Strategic Planning at RPM, and Carolyn Ideh, VP of Vehicle Operations. Carolyn and Dylan, can you see me and hear me okay?
Absolutely. Appreciate you having us on this evening.
Thanks for taking the time. Carolyn, we'll start with you. Please tell us more about you and say hello.
Awesome. It's nice to see you again. And I'm kind of mad because Andrew stole my joke there on, I go back to where I was born and what day of the week it was. But I am the VP of Vehicle Operations at RPM. So my role consists of overseeing the teams that manage our shipper relationships. So think of us as, the customer experience. And actually, I should say shipper experience because Dylan will talk about our coverage department. And, we like to think of our carriers as our customers too. So he owns that. But we kind of manage the relationship with each of our shippers from the point of any sort of contract. It could be a one-time spot offering to a long-term, very long, large amount of business. And we make sure everything runs smoothly. We like to think of ourselves as sort of an extension of our shippers. So whatever it is that they need and want from us, we try to remain flexible and, utilize our ability to meet their KPIs, whatever that is for them. Whatever's important to our shippers, we make that what's most important to us. So I oversee the team that runs point on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Carolyn. Dylan, please say hello and tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having us on. I'm Dylan Morris. I've been with RPM for 4 years now. I'm the Director of Strategic Planning, and what that kind of entails is externally network mapping with our carrier base, overlaying our network with their network, understanding what fits from a backhaul perspective, what fits from a dedicated perspective, and then internally strategy around the opportunities that we see. Whether it's a spot buy, 200 unit spot buy, or a 3-year contract, just understanding what does capacity look like, what's needed on our end from a coverage standpoint, can we scale up, can we scale down, that sort of thing. And, talking about dedicated capacity and marketplace and Canada and load boards, Andrew said it best. Our marketplace does offer Canada loads. It offers them on a dedicated basis. So we have dedicated lanes with our carrier base, and carriers can go in, accept the loads right off of our marketplace. And, this is something that we've been utilizing for probably 3-4 months now, and it's going pretty well, I would say.
So I'm really glad the both of you are here, because I have ideas and thoughts and questions for both of you. Just to summarize that again: Carolyn, shipper success; Dylan, carrier success.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
All right. So, where should we start? Where did we decide we would start? Did we decide?
I think we were just going to see how it goes.
Okay, so there we are. We're at that point then. All right. I think where I want to start, since Andrew mentioned carriers, right? There's Andrew at the show talking. He's got carriers talking to him about strategy, relations, loads. Dylan, can you take some of those business cards and then work with some of those folks? What does that look like? Working with carriers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. When Andrew or whoever it may be, they travel to these conferences, and they have carriers of any size, whether it's an owner operator looking to secure his next load, or a large asset of 100 carriers. What we like to do is identify the lanes that they like to run. If you're a little bit on the smaller side, can I run you as like a nomad? Because we put together a tremendous network in North America where we can I like to refer to it as a triangle. I can bounce you from point A to point B to point C back to point A. Or are you a larger asset? Getting an understanding of, what backhauls do you need? Do you need stuff from the East Coast to the Midwest? Do you need stuff West Coast to the East Coast? We have a lot of opportunities on our board internally, just to kind of map and mirror everything together.
I would think that there are carriers that want to talk to you. And maybe it's something ATI can help with, because then it becomes the challenge: how do we get the carriers that have those questions to find out more about you?
Yeah.
And this is actually where, this is great, is that putting a name to a face, to a job, and a person of something I'm looking for, right? And that's actually why sessions at trade shows are so powerful, is that there are people in the room that get to know, wow, oh, you're somebody I need to talk to, and this is what I want to talk to you about. So, Carolyn, based on what Dylan was saying, what do you think about with your shippers and how to accommodate what's coming in on his side of the equation?
Yeah, I really liked what Andrew was saying earlier. The industry itself is just so fragmented. I think part of our competitive advantage is we're really trying to figure out what works for both our carriers and our shippers, and figuring out how to marry that up. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. Dylan has a huge team of reps that are dedicated to relationship building with our carriers and figuring out where their needs are. And then my team is figuring that out with our customers, and our technology is matching those things up together so that we can provide the best service to both ends at a price point that makes sense. So I guess, I don't even remember what you were asking. But,
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine. I do that too.
Yeah,
We're live.
I think that's what's exciting about RPM and what, you know, Dylan's team, and the ability to do that at scale is what's made us successful. So like our technology is proprietary, and some of the things that we're using to do that is what has made us successful this far.
Shippers can be challenging, just as carriers can be challenging.
Sure.
They have different challenges and expectations. What do you find to be some of the more common challenges that you've learned to overcome?
Well, it's transportation. Anything can happen. Anything does happen. And, you know, I think understanding expectations up front and making sure that we're not just meeting, but exceeding those expectations. And then when things happen, which inherently they will, you know, stuff happens in transportation all of the time. It's about how do we fix the issues, and how do we do that at as little of an impact to our shippers and our carriers as possible. So I think, you know, making sure that we have proactive communication and that we're problem solving and we're finding ways of, you know, if something is happening on a regular basis, our people are really trained to look at continuous improvement. How do we make sure that doesn't continue to happen? What can we put in place as a safeguard to prevent issues from happening? You know, I just think when you think of all the things that we've experienced and been through, I sort of wish we were all together with Andrew. We could exchange war stories, and I'm sure they would be very entertaining. But the goal for us as an organization is to limit that impact to our shippers and our carriers.
So let's go back to carriers then. How do you, gosh, Dylan, do you have a team then that works with carriers?
Oh yeah,
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, we have a team of, you know, call it 45 carrier reps in-house, split up between 4 different regions. And, you know, at the end of the day, it just comes down to relationships. We are non-asset, so we're unable to call up a driver, you know, our own drivers and ship our own vehicles. We are reliant on the relationships that we build with our carriers. So, and just like we're trying to build, you know, even more relationships, the relationship that the customer team is just as important as the relationship that we have with, you know, our carrier team. We have a lot of unique projects kind of going on, and having that trust with, you know, the customer, the trust with the carrier, standing up different yards, doing things like that. You know, you got to have that relationship, and, you know, the relationships to lean on with different carriers, different customers, for them to trust you to execute upon that opportunity.
45 reps in 4 regions?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big team.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we're still looking to grow.
Carolyn, you have them, it's also a team, right, that communicates with the shippers. How large is that team?
I don't know the exact number, maybe 30, 35.
That's a pretty big size. Divided into regions, divided by types of clients?
Types of clients. Although, you know, it's not really a one size fits all. So try to, but essentially just based on customer, you know.
They probably
a rep is dedicated to a customer.
So like fleet, rental, OEM, yep. Right? And they have different types of needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. Wow. So then, Andrew, you're hearing part of your team talk. I mean, this is just talking to the 3 of you is like talking to like a small dot of the RPM International. I mean, this is a big company.
Yeah, no, it really is. We are over 250 strong at this point, with 5 offices across 2 continents. So the thing that kind of ties all this together, though, is we can talk about how many offices we have and how many carriers we work with and how many reps work for us, and that's all well and good. But I think really kind of the crux of success, if you were going to look at it that way, is that we've developed a process that works. And not just that it works, but it's one that's replicatable regardless of the geography that you exist in. I'm up here in Toronto. Why am I in Canada? Most brokers and most asset carriers only work in one country. We don't have to. We have the ability, we have the reach, we have the relationships where I can be up here and I can give the same story and I can make the same promises of service and the same promises of communication, and we can still easily get the job done based on the relationships that we have here and the technologies that we've built. And I think that's really the story that I've been hearing up here, is that people are very much, I want to say almost a little exhausted, almost a little numb to the whole transportation process. It's the acceptance of, it's frustrating, but what can you do? That's transportation. And it doesn't have to be that. And I think that's ultimately kind of the point that Carolyn and Dylan and myself and Jay, listening to a lot of the news stories that you gave earlier, right, about CDK, it's like, well, CDK went out. What are you going to do? Well, the thing is, things happen, but it's how do you respond to those things? And how do you have the trust with someone to ultimately offer a solution to fix it? Because in transportation, we get curveballs thrown at us all the time. You get network issues all the time. If you look at the CDK outage, many dealerships that are not currently set up to handle paperwork or don't have a staff that is tenured enough to know how to write a paper transaction isn't selling cars. So therefore, cars aren't being purchased at auctions. They're not being transported to auction from the dealership. So there is going to be a surge of auction and remarketed moves when the CDK issue gets resolved. And that's something that has to be priced in, has to be prepared for in the market. And either you're going to have a solution for it or you're not. But you need to be able to go to your transportation partner, and we say partner and mean partner, to be able to talk through these things as a dealer, as an OEM, as whoever you are that may be transportation, and really talk through and work through a solution for these types of things. And that's ultimately, I think, what we try to do. And between the operations department, the carrier department, the customer sales department, we all work together as a cohesive unit to create a customer experience that really goes on there.
As I do the CDK, it was interesting how that developed. I was just, I had a couple of the CDK headlines in my news bag by the end of the week. And as the weekend just tumbled, it was all CDK news. Automotive news front page was all CDK headlines. And I thought, my gosh, this is it's like a mini COVID. Because this topic is just going to continue to be talked about, and it suggests what adaptations need to be made. Do we need to make printouts of all of our databases and networks monthly or right? Because if everything's, this is a bit of a scary moment. And I think also, like CDK on their homepage, and I believe, I've seen, they're like the second biggest Cox Automotive. They're big. And they had cybersecurity, triple tier, all this stuff. And, Blacksuit doesn't care about that. So there's a worry, and we're so tech-based, we keep getting more tech-based. So I'm not trying to act, I'm not Chicken Little over here, but this is some really crazy stuff to think about. And it reminds us that, yes, relationships, we say relationships matter, and they really do, because if you have no idea how to get a hold of somebody other than through the mobile app, which is now down. And then you saw that hacking story of a transport? Oh my gosh, that one too. So it's like, it is all hands on deck on this hacker tech fraud thing. So I don't talk about it all the time. Otherwise, I get kind of freaked out.
I agree. And you know what? Just to you really mentioned something that hits home and kind of rings true with me and I think our organization a lot. I would be fooling myself and everyone else if I said technology wasn't important. But there is a really, really big gap and a really big difference between transportation companies that are out there showing off flashy technology and trying to present a platform as the solution to every problem. And that's not all of them, but some. But at the end of the day, can they move a car? And can they move it successfully? And can they create a network and a solution that has longevity and that can be dynamic and that can adapt to change? I would be challenging that organization to prove it, right? Where at the end of the day, it's about a relationship that the job still has to get done. The technologies and all the proprietary things that we've built, exists on the back end to make our workflow easier, so that we can make your workflow easier, so that your vehicles get moved, the project gets done, and everybody goes home happy. Whether the technology is flashy or not, that's not important. It's can you do the job? And I think that that's what's really coming to the forefront right now. Everybody's got a taste of the glitz and the glamour, and realizing that the meat and potatoes of transport, the relationships, and having that strategic partner is really still the most important thing.
As director of remarketing, is remarketing a big part of RPM's business?
It's becoming a very big part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at the industry as a whole, I mean, the OEM space is going to sell probably somewhere between 15 and 17 million vehicles each year. This year specifically. In the remarketed space, there's going to be probably around 100 million vehicle moves throughout the year. There's around 40 million remarketed sales this year, but each remarketed vehicle gets moved around 2.5 times before sale. So there is a big market. There is a lot of planning and a lot of opportunity, but there's also a big opportunity, much like the presentation today and much like a lot of what we talk about in the RPM Rundown podcast. How does that affect your bottom line? How can you save costs? How can you be more strategic? And that's us being able to work together to help our customers figure it out.
Right. And so within remarketing, you're still talking about transportation. When it comes to auto remarketing services, those are other professionals performing those auto remarketing services, right? So you're working with auto remarketing professionals to supply transportation. Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's professionals and those that are just getting started. I mean, if you look at lenders, captive OEMs, fleet companies, dealer groups, it could be anything, right? You know, if there's a used vehicle or a used importers, exporters, the list really goes on. There is a solution out there.
And then do you have a pretty sizable team in the remarketing space?
So we do. On the front end, because here's the thing. The reality is, you know, us getting to go ahead and drink Stellas and Heinekens at Used Car Week, you don't need a huge team to do that. But the real work gets done on the operations side, the carrier side. You know, it's up to us on the front end to be able to go ahead and articulate and set the expectation of what our customers will experience. But to be completely frank with you, the real work is getting done with Carolyn and Dylan's team. Because if we don't have happy carriers, we're not going to have happy customers. And you know what? There is a lot of data and there's a lot of information that has to stay organized. And that's what Carolyn's team does a phenomenal job at. So it really is a team effort, and that's why we're 250 strong.
I'm so glad this is being recorded.
Right?
Me too.
All right.
I got to remember this later.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. Thank you. I think this is really good too. And that's my job, is to try to help. I said this before in our prep session, is that my job is to try to capture people doing what they do in their element as they are. And what I feel like, if I was in the live chat or if I was watching live on LinkedIn or YouTube and leaving a like for this group, and recommending for other people to check it out in the rearview mirror, and I'll have time codes below the videos. But yeah, there's some really good stuff here that I think RPM can go ahead and repurpose and share, and then hopefully we can do a little bit more after that too. But I like getting to know you all, because I know that, especially on my Thursday show, Thursdays at noon on Industry Logistics on ATI, we talk about carriers and dispatching and brokers, and the question becomes, well, I don't know who to talk to, right? That comes up all the time. I'm on this load board. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use this mobile app. I'm trying to book this load. I don't know who to talk to. And so getting to know, finding a name, a phone number, an address, where they eat, so I know how to get a hold of them. It's just helpful. So this is cool. I want to ask you this. We're almost at the end of our time. Who wants to share a work safe story that work would be proud that you shared? So a win. What's a win? Somebody share a win. I know as a dispatcher Like, I was probably frustrated most of the day. But there were times where I am like, yes, we did it. We got the car delivered. The driver got it picked up. I don't know. Anybody want to share a win?
I don't know.
So many. How do I pick?
Pick one.
When I think, you have three, facets of the business here. You have sales, you have operations, and you have the carrier sales side all on the call. And, a couple weeks ago, we experienced a nice Friday rush with a, new customer, a new logo. And you had sales who brought in the opportunity. You had Carolyn and her team here working until 6, 7 o'clock at night, PQing dealers, PQing the pickup location, understanding, hours, the unit types, everything like that, making sure everything on the back end, it was in our system. And then you had the carrier sales team here just as late as they were, working arm in arm. That's what RPM's about. Making those situations come to light, phones ringing at 7, 8 o'clock at night, you got to make calls. And again, it reverts back to the relationships. We had some visibility on our side that these loads we were gonna get these loads, and carriers trusted us that we were gonna get the loads. So just seeing everything come to light, that's what gets me excited. That's what wakes me up in the morning, knowing, one, we executed on that opportunity, and two, there's more opportunities that exist out there. So you just can't lose sight of those.
I think that's a great example, Dylan. And I think when it all comes together, it's really like the chef's kiss. And I think anybody that is working with RPM in any capacity would definitely vouch for this group cares so much about the success of our shippers and our carriers. There is not a harder working, more passionate group than the group of people we work with. So I hope that's felt all the way through to all of our relationships, but that's a great example.
Excellent. That's what I was looking for. And what we don't see right now is, so you work on a large floor area, lots of workstations. Is there a lot of team there, or is that separated? There's several, so you're near each other, or,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Carolyn, hey!
Yeah. Exactly. I could throw
Awesome.
Andrew a football from where I sit. So
Unfortunately, I wouldn't make the throwback, but Dylan's just more athletic than I am.
I think that's what makes a part of the experience. You have to be able to have that open concept communication. Like, we have fun, we listen to music, and we, chat all day long, but there's so much changing all the time, and it's so fast. So to be able to stand up or walk over to each other's desks quickly and be like, this is urgent, we need to do this, or, just change course if we need to, it's vital to how we operate. It's a lot of fun. Come check it out sometime.
I don't think people realize how much actually goes on in the background with what we do. Most of the time it's, hey, I emailed you some VINs, and then they show up where they're supposed to show up. But if you were to pull back the curtain, and that's a lot of what I was trying to help everyone when I was giving my bottom line presentation today, kind of understand just how complex this industry is, and how much communication, how much work internally goes into making that happen successfully each and every time. And yeah, we try to automate as much of that as we can. We try to take the guesswork out of it as much as we can, but things still happen, and it's always still a team effort, no matter what.
I can, so in the dispatch office I worked in, it was very small. And one of the problems is I was so loud that it almost caused a problem. But you're all on headsets, you're in a large room. It gets pretty loud in that room, I bet.
Yeah.
The louder the better. Yeah.
That's not what my boss used to say, but but it is awesome. So that camaraderie really helps. If you were all in, cordoned off little cubicles, right? What a bummer.
Totally.
But to be in that big room, and you can go over to somebody's desk, because sometimes you need to do that. That's one of the interesting things about logistics, is you need to be able to, hey, here, you need to look at this. You need to look at, are you looking at that? Right?
Yep.
Right. That's pretty neat. How many people do you have in that room? 50? 60?
Probably
maybe more.
75. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. And you're near like Detroit, the city of Detroit?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Which is a hotbed of transportation and logistics, right?
Sure is.
So it's a pretty good location.
It is, yeah. Helps us be close to the, a lot of the OEMs and marketers, and a lot of our customers are in the area, but a lot of the transportation companies are too. So it's great.
Yeah, that is. All right, little pop quiz trivia in our final moments here. How many OEMs are in the area? Do we know? I don't know the answer to that. Is it over a dozen?
No, I don't think so.
In the United States, go ahead.
I was going to say, in our backyard, we have the big three with Ford, Stellantis, and GM,
right?
Specifically.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's another OEM that's right in our backyard right there. Don't quote me on that, though. Can't snippet that one.
Okay, I won't do that.
There's a lot of, I'd say there's a bigger presence, OEM presence. For instance, like if you look at Mercedes-Benz Financial, Lotus, Rivian, if you were to look at kind of the greater Southeast Michigan area, all them, whether it's the financial arm, whether it's the actual headquarters, or just the, continental headquarters, there's definitely a very large presence for a lot of manufacturers over here.
Yeah, that's well said. That's right.
And really what we didn't mention is we also have a freight end. So we do ship for a lot of the suppliers, which are in our backyard. So that's helpful too.
Well, I'm glad you said that. This gets into the tiers, right? Tier 1, Tier 2. When we hear Tier 1, Tier 2, is there a Tier 3?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
There sure is. There's Tier 3 and Tier 4, believe it or
Talk
not.
about Tier 3. So
Back to
Tier
raw
1,
material.
Tier 2, Tier 1, Tier 2, these are parts suppliers. And when we say parts suppliers, we're talking parts assemblies. Not just one little, rod, but you've got a system that is now part of the ultimate vehicle.
Yes.
I had heard this awesome quote. Somebody asked, this guy was I guess he was the CEO or whatever of an airline, and he went over to automobiles, and he was asked, does it make you nervous to now, be new to being a CEO of an OEM? And he said, if I can work at a company where there's over 100,000 individual parts to one plane, I'm pretty sure I can handle cars. Something like that. And that's what we're talking about. All those parts assemblies. So RPM helps work with transportation and freight delivery of those parts and assemblies providers. That's a lot. And that probably, right, that's why Europe, Canada, Mexico, North America, we really get into a pretty global situation.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a little mind-blowing. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. Wow,
yeah,
shoot,
the
that's a
whole
lot.
ecosystem of the vehicle.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And then aftermarket too. So.
Oh no, there's more?
There's more.
Aftermarket. Aftermarket doesn't get talked about a lot on ATI. Please provide a definition of aftermarket.
So, am I the right person to say this?
Yeah, you are.
Anything that you would need for your vehicle after it's been assembled.
All right.
So it could be tires.
Okay.
Right? It could be, a part for fixing your engine if you have a transmission go out.
It's not just cool stuff like spoilers.
It could be spoilers.
It could be spoilers. Spoiler alert.
It could be the racks.
Hey, that'd be a great name for a podcast for aftermarket. Spoiler alert.
There you go.
We'll leave that to somebody else. Right now, somebody's working on spoiler alert. All right. Any final thoughts? This was pretty good. Andrew, you're at a cocktail reception. Is it over?
You see in cocktail receptions at Used Car Week Canada, they never end.
They
So I'll be here for
never
a while,
end,
so.
right? Like in Scotland, that thing never ends.
There's no windows in this room for you.
There you go. Dylan, Carolyn, any final thoughts? Anything you wanted to add that we didn't mention? Check your bullet points. Nothing.
No. Appreciate you having us on, kind of giving a little peek behind the curtain of what we do, what makes us special, and looking forward to the outcome of it.
Well, it's great to have you here. Thanks for doing it. Really appreciate your time, your personal time, and thanks for taking the time to tell us more. Andrew Kmita, Dylan Morris, Carolyn Ideh, thank you so much. Thank you, RPM.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Catch you on the next one. And that's a cut. There we go. Cool. Yeah, that was neat. At minimum, we're getting to know other companies in the automotive ecosystem. At minimum. Once we do get to know them, then we get to know more about the services they provide, what they're working on, and then we can start to strategize who it is we think we need to talk to. It isn't just carriers watching ATI. There could be a shipper that wants to talk to Carolyn. There definitely could be somebody that works in auto remarketing that wants to talk to Andrew. And I'm positive there are carriers that will want to talk to Dylan. Now that we have this information, we go from awareness into action. So RPM, you're invited to tap into ATI to find out how you can increase that awareness and start moving that into the action and getting people to contact you, get to know you. And that is extended not just to RPM, but to everybody. That's right. You are invited to leverage ATI. Contact me. Go to ATIAutobusiness.com. You can send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. I know I need to change it. It's a one-man show. But we're doing all right. I mean, really, there's a lot happening. So I want to thank One Auction View, Murphy Auto Transport, AuctionVCommerce, Transport Auto Quoter, Superflow Systems. Mark, thank you so much for making martinis in my super chat. Appreciate you. And I will just say, still Ramon. Still Ramon. Hopefully you're still Ramon with us. And you can get in contact. Still Ramon. I suggest you talk to Dylan. If you haven't talked to Dylan, talk to me on Thursdays, live on ATI. Yes, Fast Eddie, dispatchers are creative. They have to be. They're dispatchers. It's tough out there. And USA, man, I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. It's great to have you here. Saying hello. Again, hello LinkedIn, hello YouTube. Not tons of viewers, that's okay. There's always another great show around the corner. Next Tuesday, I've got Brian Finkelmeyer from Cox Automotive with his Cox Automotive colleague, Patrick Janes. They're going to be on Tuesday night. This Thursday is delivering at dealerships, information for new car haulers. Sue and I are kind of returning to some dispatching fundamentals every Thursday. And if you're a new car hauler or you're delivering to a dealer, we literally got an email. Hey, can you talk about things to know when delivering to dealers? Because, we know what we know, we don't know what we don't know, and there are some things you want to do. So join us Thursday. If you're a dealer, join us Thursday to share with carriers what you think they should know. So thank you so much. All right, I'm going to run the car hauler. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the live show early. If you missed it, you can watch it on demand. Go to the YouTube channel, ATI Auto Business on YouTube, and let me know how I can help. Here it comes. Thank you so much. Good night. Thanks, RPM.